I'm here in an 11,000 square meter building in Rotterdam that we call Synergy Hub 1. It's a community of co-creators working in unconditional sharing and co-create what we call synergistic co-creation and what we call spiritual philanthropy, which is that everyone is gifted and everyone is valuable, and there's a million different ways for people to contribute, and everyone is required, and everyone is has the opportunity to gift whatever they want on any level. And the philanthropy part is just investing in consciousness itself, investing in the community, investing in the field, in order for everyone to bloom and to naturally and organically resolve all of the challenges we have on the planet through self-organization, self-management, and planetary scale co-creation and unconditional sharing. Our vision is something called Synergy Hub Network. So that would be virtual and physical locations and gatherings around the planet, with Synergy Hub 1.0 being the first prototype of creating a microcosm of that macrocosm. Right now we're being gifted through a nonprofit foundation here in Rotterdam called the Meesteren Foundation. That's M-E-E-S-T-E-R-E-N. It means mastering in Dutch. And they've worked out. What's that?
Did you say it means mastering?
Mastering.
Mastering.
Yeah. So they've worked out an arrangement with a place here that if this was formerly an elderly care building. They want to sell it in December, but they don't want it to be demolished or sold to just anybody. This was the first building for this company. So basically they still have office space here, some human resource office space and skills lab. Hey, Alexander. So they've worked out an arrangement, the Meesteren Foundation, with this Lawrence company to have us basically occupy or sit this building while we try to create some business plans or philanthropy or crowdfunding or whatever it takes to actually purchase the building. And then, of course, we would want to retrofit it for energy neutrality and food independence and things like that. So Synergy Hub 1.0 is sort of like an integral center following the synergistic co-creation, self-organization, inclusivity, cross-pollination. We use the wheel of co-creation a little bit as one lens among many to look at how people can work together. It's comprised of four core communities, NewMap being one, which is really only a fractal of 3 people who are the co-stewards of NewMap, the NewMap movement itself. If we wanted to look at actually the reality of that. There's something called United Earth, which is a community, and they're more interested in uniting the uniters and putting events on and being a sort of communication broadcast type of platform. There's a group of young people here called Unity, and they do something called food rescue. So they are into unconditional sharing, and they start with food by going to the marketplace and the companies and the businesses, and they rescue the food, and they believe that the first thing people need to come into synergy and cooperation is to have free meals and share food and talk to each other. Their vision is to have unconditional skills and resources sharing, which is why it's so aligned with NewMap and spiritual philanthropy and self-organization, but they've been focusing first on food. So we do have some vegetables and fruit and all sorts of food, and we eat a lot of free food and cook together and things like that. And then the Meesteren Foundation itself is the other community, and they've got about 100 volunteers. No one really gets paid at the Meesteren Foundation right now. So there's different groups in their circles, like for legal and different and social enterprises that they work with and things like that. And one of their main visions was a resource-based economy actually happening for real in a physical place to show what we can do. So there's tons of alignment between this spiritual philanthropy, unconditional sharing, self-organization, and self-governance, and Teal Plus, I would say, transformation, not just Teal. We're kind of bored with Teal. We're way beyond that, really, when it comes down to it, to a degree. But we are prototyping all of these things for real in the now. The fact that we're living in this building all together and manifesting NewMap, even to the degree it is without any funding, really, And all those things pretty much add up to me that we're doing the experiment and we're getting good results. And now it's about refining that and bringing in the bigger what we call the activation communities for everyone to pitch in to developing NewMap, which is group owned kind of thing. We build it for ourselves, not because the world needs it, because we love it and we want to create these things. And by doing that, we feel that that is in service to the whole, by everyone coming alive and following their passions and being unconditional as well in that space as much as we can. Unconditional sharing and spiritual philanthropy includes money. So some of us here are into the money listing, some of us are not. I think money can be used powerfully, and I think for me personally, the evolution of money is to use it differently before we can get rid of it. That just seems to be the thing, but I think we can do it quicker than people imagine. I think we can do it less painlessly than people imagine, and I'm not convinced it even has to go away. I'm not even convinced we need alternative cryptocurrencies, personally. That's just me. I'm not saying a one world order thing. I'm just saying I think we have to open our minds even further than most people do when it comes to reimagining what I call a gift civilization. NewMap itself, I've been calling a movement and a community because it's made up of three elements, which would be holonic technologies, which is thoughtware, software, and hardware. And it's about shifting your mind and your perceptions, going from a flat earth to a round earth to a holonic earth. So it's made up of a whole suite of things. It's also would include basically social architectures. What are the processes and structures for decision-making and self-organization? The social architectures sort of go right now into holonic technologies because it's the thoughtware for, you know, a planetary civilization beyond democracy. This whole liquid democracy and all that, I understand we have to work with that and meet people where they're at, but that's not where we're at. Although we support all of that because we understand everyone needs to be working together, and it's not really putting down other people's perceptions. But just to be clear, we're on the path of like syntony and flow, as Alexander would say, planetary self-organization, co-creativity, evolution, and all that good stuff. So you got holonic technologies as one element. You've got empowered creativity, which is the people aspect, coming from the inside out, getting over the, you know, healing, personal healing, collective healing, and all the tools that can be incorporated in that as part of that. And then third part is unconditional sharing, the spiritual philanthropy, contributionism, the Ubuntu kind of thing where everyone is required and valued. And if you put in 1 hour and somebody else puts in 10 hours a day, it doesn't really matter. You're contributing, and there's probably a reason why you do one compared to someone else. Everyone has value. So those are the three elements of the NewMap movement. As far as the we have an alpha software that is also called NewMap. So I know we need to work on our, you know, our public communications. So NewMap, most people think is just a zeros and ones platform, but it's really the whole movement with all those elements. But so for you guys, just for now, I'm going to say NewMap, the software is a new internet, as far as we're concerned. We've got two things going on. We have an alpha software, and then we have what it's going to turn into. So we're going in two directions simultaneously. The software we have now, I want to bring to the world in a more traditional way, almost like a Facebook.com or Twitter.com. So it's almost centralized, decentralized, because if we create a nonprofit company or a B Corp or whatever that thing is, and I don't even think we need to do that, we can have distributed servers and networks and all that. As far as not everything being on one server, local servers at the hubs and all that. So we can sort of decentralize and distribute it without a blockchain and all that to a certain degree. There's so many people that want NewMap as it is. And my seeing is that NewMap, even a newmap.com like Facebook, would already be world altering, changing because of the people who are responsible for co-stewarding it. And it would say like you can't sell the information and it's private. So all those things for me can be addressed by the actual container you create. So I'm kind of heading up that to a degree because I love the entrepreneurial spirit, but in the sense of spiritual philanthropy. And I want to see it in the world now being used. Chris and Nico and some other people will be going forward with how do we bring NewMap next level to Ethereum, where NewMap is one application and it becomes literally an operating system for the global virtual computer, which is Ethereum, which is blockchain. As a quick side note, if you look at the ethos around blockchain, it's filled with venture capital and fear and a lot of control and even the Ethereum Foundation is hierarchical. So they're kind of divorced from the thing they're building. Like they're building this decentralized tool, but they're not really embodying what they're building. So, and because of that, you can see how much they're into venture capital, and they actually run a hierarchical foundation. So at NewMap, the tools we building are a direct reflection of what we live and what we embody, which I think at this moment puts us in a category that very few people I've met are in, as far as merging technology and consciousness and integral thinking and spirituality. We're getting a lot of traction right now for Next Level, bringing NewMap into people that want to bring it into teal organizations. I've got a 5-pager I can share with you that is one application of NewMap that's more digestible. It's called Synergy Space. And it's like saying, what is Slack and Trello and Asana look like for a new paradigm? And we've got some people that want to bring that right now who can possibly get some funding for like things. So we're going to build it in pieces and use it in different ways. I've got a guy, I'm going to show you something because of the game element. I'm going to share my screen, which I think will excite you, who has this type of game that he wants to bring into corporate through Silicon Valley. He's talking to Holacracy One. He's talking to Zappos, Tony Heiss from Zappos. And then if you take Alexander here and Irvin and Barbara and Ken Wilber and all that, my goal, just so you know, for this October, we're going to put on an event here at Synergy Hub, a month-long, what I call a Trim Tab Festival and Whole Systems Hackathon. My dream and intention for that is to weave us all finally together into something at the end of the month we can share, like a new lifestyle of synergistic co-creation, whole systems thinking, and we could, some of us could potentially, I mean, we're still do our own thing. In NewMap, you're always a whole and a part. So you're never losing the autonomy of what you're doing. You're just weaving it into the greater whole simultaneously. So my dream was to be, you know, we're talking with Irvin about a collaboration for R&D with the Institute. Of course, we have all the same friends, and I bring a little bit more of the grassroots, like not all just the evolutionaries who, quite frankly, for me, they talk a lot and they're brilliant for what they do, but they haven't seemed to really bring co-creation into a grounded space where we can all participate. So that's kind of what's going on. I hope